MultimediaJay radio style.
Follow-up segment time, as my skepticism has paid off with some of the stuff that's gone on regarding WoW Classic today. So earlier in the day, I saw Bellular absolutely gushing about the success of Classic and all the great news about it, and even the financial markets are taking notice at what Blizzard has done with Classic. And so there's just more and more good news, and free character moves are being opened up, all kinds of wonderful stuff. So more evidence of Classic doing incredibly well. Unfortunately, with 50,000 views-ish and counting to his name, I can now add Bellular to the list of people who weren't adequately skeptical enough about that thing on the Brazilian Facebook page for World of Warcraft, about the alleged promotion. It's been deleted, by the way. That should tell you something. But supposedly there was some kind of promo where if you got to level 60 in Classic, you would get a free copy of BFA and a level boost, which I did not believe when I saw it. The minute I saw it, instant skepticism. Why? Because of stuff I know that these talking heads who have run with this clearly don't. And once again, it's going to be too bad that YouTube treats smaller channels the way that they do, because I'm sure that my thoughtful original commentary on this matter is going to go nowhere, because that's the way the algorithms are. But for the people that actually listen to this, have fun laughing at all those misinformed masses out there when they get embarrassed later on. So let's talk about this supposed Brazilian promo that was going around the news sites-ish, if you want to call them that, before. I question whether they're actually news sites at this point, those that ran with this. And the same thing with the credibility of every single YouTuber who was like, hey, Blizzard's getting desperate with BFA. Look at this. There's something in Brazil. If you hit the level 60, you get a free copy of BFA. Hoo-hoo! No. Let's take a look at this. So this thing that was removed, that should tell you something right there, showed up on some random social media page from a single country in an international corporation. Is this how large companies communicate? The answer, no. Communications are coordinated and they're consistent because you want to say the right stuff. Misinformation spreads fast and it hurts your business even faster. So if there was going to be some kind of promotion, like what went around Wowhead and some of the talking heads on YouTube, we would have seen it in more places besides just one random Facebook page for World of Warcraft on the entire internet. This would be everywhere, because that's what you do when you're talking public relations and stuff like that. Because this was a one-off that showed up on a single social media page for World of Warcraft, aka company social media, it would not surprise me if I found out someday that this whole thing down in Brazil was an office prank gone wrong or gone too far, and or that somebody was fired for this post. Because when you're involved with large companies, you do not speak for the company unless you are explicitly authorized to do so. Companies, organizations, and shareholders are more than capable of selecting who is going to represent the company, the organization, the shareholders, etc., to the general public and to others. This kind of thing never falls to some random person to post something on one random communication channel like this and nowhere else. That by itself was reason enough for me to be skeptical about this Brazil thing and to say that it was a hoax. Blizzard could always prove me wrong, but I seriously don't think they're going to, because think about it. We've had people hit level 60. If this was really going on, there should have been at least some kind of Skype meeting or something with the guy that got the world first 60 in Classic. This was a PR opportunity that should have been absolutely announced if this was going on. That's more reasons for me to doubt what's going on with that whole Brazil thing. This is exactly the sort of thing that Blizzard should be tooting their horns on. Not putting BFA on sale in its various forms shortly after Classic launches like I thought they would. And there's a reason why I was predicting that there'd be a BFA sale, and not just the difference in the popularity between the two games. A coupon code or a sale is something I can understand. Giving the game away for free is something that I could not understand. Do you realize what that would do to all the cynicism about modern WoW if Blizzard gave away BFA to every single Classic player that hit level 60? If that was really true, you know what would happen? The heel versus baby faces of the world and all the cynics and all the angry people who bash Blizzard incessantly would have a field day. The YouTube videos would never stop for the longest time. Ha ha, look at Blizzard. BFA is so terrible. Classic is so awesome. Look, they have to give away BFA for free. We got a bit of a preview of that with the way heel versus babyface responded to it. And the little rant that Az did, which I was skeptical about as well. I'm skeptical about a lot of the stuff he posts, by the way. But it gives me some fodder to come up with a part 2 of the story when I see him flip his lid about WoW with his little setup over there. But under no circumstances could I find it in any way, shape, or form understandable if Blizzard was to do what that whole Brazil thing was all about. A sale? Yes. Multiple sales for the next couple of months to try and get people to switch over to BFA and give the new game a try. Yes, I can understand that, but not giving it away. Not with what's been... I mean, that would be an admission that they think that their product is worthless. They're never going to do that. If anything, what we should keep an eye out for is what's going to happen in patch 8.3 or one of these upcoming patch releases now that we've seen what Classic has done. Because it's not so much that Blizzard needs to put BFA on sale in order to get people to maybe consider buying it. They need to give people a reason to want it in the first place, especially in light of what's gone on with Classic since the Classic launch. The bargain bin BFA sale that I was joking about earlier is going until the end of the month. It is September 4th right now. That's plenty of time for Blizzard to drum up some kind of announcement or figure out something that should go into 8.2.5 or something that should go into 8.3 that they can plug to get people looking forward to changes in BFA to bring it more in line with its ancestor and get more people interested in playing it. Like I said earlier, all eyes are on Blizzard, and now we wait. My skepticism, though, I expect to pay off in more ways than just this whole hoax about the whole Brazil thing. I also expect it to pay off with regards to how much Bellular was gushing about this game's success. Sorry, I'm still going to be the voice of reason when it comes to the success of WoW Classic. By mere virtue of what it is, the success of WoW Classic is going to be limited. It's vanilla, mixed in with a modern client so it can run better on newer computers. It's a remake. And there's plenty of things in play right now that the talking heads aren't talking about. It's not just nostalgia. Its absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the reintroduction of the pre-Cataclysm Azeroth experience. It's also the World of Warcraft version of somebody trying to find like old NES cartridges or something like that, trying to rebuild the video game collection they had as a kid. World of Warcraft's been around long enough that kind of behavior is now possible with the original version of the game that hasn't been around in years. So there's all kinds of other things going on right now that are driving this high demand for Classic. But we all know, any of us who think this through, we all know that this can't last. This is a static world and a static product. What's being released in terms of new content is basically a re-release of the stuff that came out during the vanilla patch cycle. Side note, my prediction for what is going to happen if Blizzard decides to expand this legacy service into Burning Crusade, my prediction is that the Burning Crusade legacy servers will be separate from the vanilla ones, and you will have a character copy option to copy your vanilla characters over to the new servers to play BC Legacy or whatever they call it. and you'll still have the option of a perfectly vanilla experience should you wish to log into that again. That's based on the way that they handled Death Knights when they first created them as a hero class. One of the things that they wanted to avoid with the way Death Knights worked that led to the minimum level and then you can create a Death Knight on a realm is that Blizzard doesn't like the idea of players feeling like they're losing their character in any way, shape, or form. And so the idea of even a direct transfer where you lose your character on the vanilla server because it goes to the Burning Crusade Legacy server, I don't even think they'd spring for that. I think they'd want a full character copy, even if it meant you basically wound up with 2 characters, the vanilla only and then the BC version. But we'll save that one for later. Right now we gotta see how Blizzard handles vanilla by itself. Speaking of vanilla, I still think the way Classic is going to go is after this initial rush is over, we're going to start seeing people decide that the old way that this game operated is not for them, and they'll probably drop off. But there will probably always be people curious about trying and maybe even retrying the Classic experience. So that idea I heard Esfand throwing around on his stream about his guild not inviting people that weren't at least a minimum level to show that they were actually committed to staying active in the Classic game, I think that's probably a good idea for guilds long term, because there's gonna be differences between Classic and the original vanilla experience, and this is one of them. There's always gonna be people curiously trying out this game from the other game, and there's gonna be people that decide it's not for them and go back. So I imagine it would not be hard for the servers to end up with a lot of like level 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s that are inactive for long periods of time. So in terms of guild recruitment, I would not recommend that guilds go too crazy with the low-level recruitment simply because of the quirks of the Classic platform. But as it stands, it's largely the hardcore power grinders that are arriving at endgame right now. When more of the mainstream population starts approaching level 60, and more discussion goes back and forth about the way things were at endgame back in those days when people are reunited with it and they have their memories jogged, I think once that kicks in, we'll start seeing the progression away from what we have right now towards WoW Classic being an enthusiast product with a small fan base but a passionate fan base, and other people that are just checking it out and seeing if it's for them, to varying results. So despite what's going on right now, despite all the good news, and despite what the talking heads are saying, I remain skeptical. Because sometimes not jumping to conclusions on things really comes in handy in terms of your credibility. This is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for listening, and good night.